So a few days ago, someone who was just getting their first universal audio rig, and they asked me if I could only get 5 plugins, which ones would you suggest? And being the plugin junkie that I am, I have almost all of the UAD plugins, so it got me thinking, which ones do I really use in every single mix? So in today's video, I'll show you 5 universal audio plugins that I think are the best ones to get if you're just getting started with UAD, and why and how I use them. Let's go. So the first plugins I recommend are the 1176 bundle. Cool thing about this is you get 3 plugins for the price of 1. You get 3 different versions of the 1176 compressor. Now, I tend to only use 2 of them. The Rev E, which is this one, which is the black one, and the Rev A, which is silver with the blue stripe. A lot of people call this the blue stripe compressor. Now, I use these all the time for vocals, but I'll use different ones for different kinds of vocals. For instance, if I want to maintain some of the low end and naturalness of the vocal, I'm gonna go with the Rev E. If I need something to push the mid-range up and be a little more edgy, then I'll go with the blue stripe. And let me play you this vocal by Rhea Raj. If you look here, it says 1176E and then 1176A. So it's gonna go back and forth between the two, and hopefully you can hear the difference of what I'm talking about.
My mind was running in circles the moment I met you. Don't lie, 'cause once you go under, I know you'll be hooked too.
So hopefully you can hear that. It's a little thicker. There's a little more low end on the E, whereas the A is a little more brighter and forward. I'm gonna loop these 2 little lines here where you could probably hear it even clearer.
Don't lie, don't lie, don't lie, don't lie.
So that's what I love about the 1176s, especially this collection, is not only does it compress, which will push your vocal forward and is what pop sound is, but you can use both of these for different kind of colors and different kinds of vocals. Okay, so the next one is the Pultec, the UAD Pultec. It's been around for years. I've used it for years. There's other ones, but I always seem to come back to this one. What's great is it's now in the native form, which is, if you don't know, UAD is finally porting all their stuff over to native. So that's great. Why do I use this? Well, I use this for a ton of things. EQ for vocals, it's always after my 1176. Also great on drums. There's an old school snare and kick trick where you can boost and attenuate the low end at the same time, and that can create great results for if you need more kick and snare or just more kick. It's great on bass. This EQ works on so many things, and it's such a great broad stroke EQ, and 9 times out of 10, when I turn it on and crank it, it does what I want it to do. So let me show you how I use it in vocals. I always turn the bandwidth all the way broad. I like a wider bell, if you will. And then it's usually 10 to 12K, and then I'll just boost until it starts cutting through the mix the way I like it.
My mind was running in circles the moment I met you. Don't lie, 'cause once you go under, I know you'll be hooked too. I'ma be a new type, from one hit, one look in my body.
So there you have it. It's really that simple. I'll either go from 10 to 12, and if it's a little too edgy, I'll go to 12. If it's pushing through the high end and the upper mids nicely, I'll stick with 10. Now, other things you can do with this thing that maybe people don't talk about so much is these 2 controls down here. If you have a vocal that is really thin sounding, boosting it at 60 or 100 can be a great way to thin that out. Also, and this is something I don't hear a lot of people talk about, using the attenuate to get rid of some of that harsh mid-range. Let me play this for you so you guys can hear what it can do.
My mind was running in circles the moment I met you. Don't lie, 'cause once you go under, I know you'll be hooked too. I'ma be a new type, from one hit, one look in my body. Boy, I'm changing your life.
Let's take the boost down too so we can turn it on and off. You guys can hear what this is doing.
My mind was running in circles the moment I met you. Don't lie, 'cause once you go under, I know you'll be hooked too.
So you see, by just boosting and attenuating that vocal, we've not only warmed it up a bit, but we've taken out some of that little edginess that we might not like. This vocal is a lower end vocal, so it doesn't quite need all this, but on the right vocal, this can change the day and make everything sound a hell of a lot better. Next one, ATR 102. This is a plugin that has been around for a long time. Probably one of the first tape plugins that everyone actually said sounds somewhat like tape. I don't know. I used tape for like 2 or 3 years, the beginning of my career. So I don't consider myself a veteran of what tape should sound like. But this does something that usually sounds good when you put it on something. And I think a lot of that is this, in all tape machines had this little bass boost that it gives. And that could be what we're hearing. But it also tends to warm things up and just give it a sound. This is actually the newer version, the UAD X version. So this one's native now too. And you can change the tape speed and that will give you different sounds. You can change the tape. I always used to, like when I first started working in studios, I loved the GP9. And the only reason I loved it was because of the color of the reel. That's how it is when you first get started. Also, 250 was cool because of that color. But I love the color of the GP9. I thought that looked so badass. You can calibrate it differently, and you can use different tape speeds. All these will give you different sound qualities. That's what we were going for back when we used tape. But now you might want to, turn the IPS down and give it like a lo-fi sound. A lot of times when I recorded on a 2-inch machine, which is a 24-track, this is a 2-track machine or replica of that, we would use 2-inch tape. And here you use 1-inch or 1/2 inch or even 1/4 inch for what this would be used for was the mix down. Anyway, enough of the talking. Let's play this thing. And I'm just going to switch through the different buttons so you guys can hear what it can do.
Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. I put my yes sir, I put my weight all on you. When things get too hard for me and I can't be strong for me, tell me.
So you see as we turned it up, got kind of crunchy. You can use that for effect at some points. We're not going to use that as effect now. One new thing that this does offer that the old one didn't is the auto gain, which is very much liked. All right, let's keep going.
Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. Yes sir, I put my weight all on you. When things get too hard for me and I can't be strong for me, tell me come through, just to renew before I lose it. Goddamn, so when the shit gets rough.
So you hear quite a huge difference by the speed of the tape. And the reason for that is the slower the speed, the more data has to be recorded onto the tapes to the less quality. Think of that as like 16-bit. Where 30 IPS, it's moving faster, so it can, it's recording less on per tape. 30 IPS is like your 96K. So you can kind of think of it like that if you haven't used tape before. But this 3.75 sounds pretty cool and could be used as a good effect. A lot of people stick with 15 or 30, and I tend to do the same if it's something I'm just trying to make it sound better and not change the tone. Let's play it one more time, and we'll go through some of the different tapes.
Yes sir, I put my weight all on you. When things get too hard for me and I can't be strong for me, tell me come through, just to renew before I lose it. Goddamn, so when the shit gets rough and I can barely hold myself up, you're the antidote. Fix my mental for a little bit physical. It's a heavy head I carry, no lie.
So as you can see, you can play with it and get different tones. The tape kind can be a little bit subtle sometimes, but you do hear the difference. 456 a little bit brighter, maybe the 468 is a little bit thicker. You notice the hi-hats kind of went away when you're on 1/4 inch, where the 1-inch, they were a little bit more present. So a lot of different flavors you can get out of this machine, and a lot of times you can just slap this thing on something and it'll make it sound better. So use it however you like. Fourth plugin is the UAD 33609 Neve compressor, one of the grandfathers of compressors. I love this thing, and I have it on a stereo track. We'll use it as a stereo track for listening examples, but I usually use it on stereo background vocals and bass guitar sometimes, and occasionally on the mix bus. But the reason I like to use it on background vocals is because it is a stereo compressor. I usually put my background vocals into a stereo bus, and if you see, I have my setting here called MH Start. and it's at a 3-to-1 ratio. But here's the key here is it's on mono over here. So what that means is the channels are working separately. So if you have a left and right vocal and the singer's a little bit louder here, it might compress that side more, where it will leave the left side that's not maybe so loud at that point in the song alone. And I like that shift that it can do on background vocals. It's not always that great on a mix. It can get weird with your separation. It sometimes works, but I'm not a fan of usually using it on a stereo mix. I'd rather use the stereo compressor just so they react together. But either way, it works pretty well. For this, let's just switch to like a basic master bus setting. So let's go 2-to-1, and we'll do a fast recovery. Although these auto recoveries are pretty good too. Actually, you know what? Let's do auto 1. And we'll put this to 2 because we're going to take like 2 dB off. And then let's just hear what this thing can do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I put my weight all on you. When things get too hard for me and I can't be strong for me, tell me come through. Just to renew before I lose it. Goddamn, so when the shit gets rough and I can barely hold myself up, you're the antidote. Fix my mental for a little bit and physical.
So it's nice. It's got a nice warm tone to it. Pulls the mix together nicely. And it's just, it's such a staple. It works well. And like I said, it is my go-to for background vocals. Okay, so the last plugin on the list, and this one was really hard because there's so many plugins that I'll use. But if I'm being completely honest, like I love the 480, for instance, the reverb. But if I'm being completely honest, this pure plate is on my template and I use it every single day. And that's what I wanted to go by, things that I actually use all the time. And so why is this pure plate, this simple reverb on my template? Because it sounds great and it's really easy to change up as you're mixing it. I'm a big fan of things that I can get to quickly and change the sound. And I know this plugin really well, and that's why. And I'll just play it. I'm going to play it on this vocal, and I'll show you how I would switch it up to sound right for this kind of vocal.
My mind was running in circles the moment I met you. Don't lie. Cause once you go under, I know you'll be hooked too. I'ma be a new type. From one hit, one look in my body. Boy, I'm changing your life. Bet that you didn't see it coming.
And just like that, you have a great sounding plate. It just has all the different buttons that you need. You got a couple EQs, you can change the balance, and a little bit of pre-delay. Low cut's nice to have, and that's all you really need out of a good plate. And the plate sound is awesome. So if you're gonna get a reverb, I always say, vocals are most important. I love plates on vocals, so this is a good one to get if it's, your first reverb from UAD. All right, so that's the list. If I could only have 5 UAD plugins, these are the ones I would buy first off, and then you can start getting into some of the more esoteric things and different sounds that UAD offers. Let me know what the top 5 plugins you would buy in the comments below. If you need your songs mixed or mastered, hit me up at mixandmastermysong.com, and you can also find my UAD vocal preset on my website as well. Talk to you guys soon.